This is the part 2 to the, what was I calling her, Miss S situation. So, I don't know if this video is something else that people would consider depressing or not. I honestly think it's kind of funny, but I've met plenty of people like Miss S over the years, and I made the term "let me help you lunatics" at 16, but I realized that honestly I had met plenty of "let me help you lunatics" before. Although I would say that the ones that helped me break free from the gaslighting were better ones, but they were more so like white savior complex so than "let me help you lunatic." But either way, the ones I met in support groups and through the abuse evidence channels were definitely actually helpful, but the "let me help you lunatics" that I've met in person are all predatory, manipulative people who can and won't quote unquote help anybody. Not to mention, I don't run around asking people for stuff, so the "let me help you lunatics" are people that notice your situation and then they start like playing games with you to make a long story short. And I already have my part 2 uploaded, which is really mostly about my older scapegoat sister that was driven insane by the family system and is still being gaslit by so many people. But anywho, so to start off, a little while ago, Miss J, wait a minute, no, because I'm getting mixed up. Jay told me that I was right about everything and she can't blame anybody but herself, and she can't blame me, she can only blame herself. Now I have no idea why she keeps telling me that she can't blame me. I don't know how or why she would be able to blame me for her running up in some random person's house. But anywho, that's what she kept telling me. And a lot of people have been talking to Jay about how crazy Miss S is, which I don't even really like the crazy term and stuff like that, but it's like so many people are like that, it's kind of whatever. Like I've met so many Miss S's that it's kind of whatever to me. And it's really obvious that Jay has too, because I mean, part of the reason she got stuck in this town and in this state is trying to get away from an abusive rental situation, but it seems like she's been in the usual cycle of these types of situations, which I talk about in the part 1. Anyways, to get to the point, because I tried to make this video, then the first time I messed up and just had to start over. I don't really remember all of what I talked about, but I don't even really remember what all I mentioned in the part 1. But one of the things that's been going on is Miss S telling Jay that she doesn't want donated canned goods or clothes in her house because, quote unquote, she doesn't want more roaches, which is so funny to me. And the canned good thing is especially insane because it's like Miss S doesn't have food in her house anyway, so really she needs the canned goods. And then another thing is that Miss S has been telling Jay what to wear. Now mind you, Miss S is like 60 something. Jay is, I think she said she was 59 or something. No, 55. Yeah, 55. She's about to turn 56 like in a few months. But Miss S has been telling her what she can wear what day and picking out her clothes for her in the morning. and Jay said that Miss S told her, you're going to wear this outfit on Sundays, you wear this outfit on Tuesdays, you wear this outfit when you go out the house. And she's been buying and picking out her clothes. And I think I already mentioned that Miss S made Jay dye her hair, get a haircut, pierce her ears and stuff like that. And so this whole thing had happened where they ended up getting into an argument because Jay was tired of S playing games. Because one of the things is that, as I mentioned, "let me help you lunatics" are typically people that will go out of their way to seem like they care so much about other people and want to help other people, but will treat their own relatives and kids like crap. I already mentioned how her grandson lives with her and how his birthday came up. And he turned 15 or 16 or whatever. And, what was it? What was I saying? Okay, yeah, I lost my train of thought because my blood sugar's all over the place. But, S got mad. No, S tried to force J to go to her grandson's birthday party at the bowling alley. And there was already a whole situation that happened. The one day I riskily went over there to see if Jay was still alive or not. And S had cursed out her grandson and threatened to send him to his mom's house because he didn't say good afternoon to his elder, which is Jay. But it's like he's probably scared though, which is still stupid to me, but he's still probably scared because, as most people think, these are just homeless people. But little does he know that, I mean, if he wasn't, well, honestly, I mean, shoot, I wouldn't want to live with S, but if he was ever ready to leave Miss S and get away from that manipulative, abusive situation, he'd be homeless too, and he'd be out here. That's how it goes, to be honest. So if S ever kicks him out, or if he ever gets the guts to leave and do the whole lay low, hide from the cops thing, he'd be right out here with us. But anywho, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and then another thing that happened with that. No, the point I was getting at. So she has to pick up her grandson from school, or he has to ride the bus. And she won't pick him up from school because, quote unquote, she doesn't want to burn gas. But Jay told me that she's been going to the most risky places asking people if they've seen me because she claims she's worried about me. And she's worried about the fact that I won't move in with her because it's about to get cold. And the cops don't play that homeless stuff around here. Honestly, they really don't play that anywhere. But it's like, just like Jay was saying, it's really annoying her because she feels like she's not a quote-unquote Christian. She's a sicko, which there's a lot I could say about that. Anywho, but she's a sicko, quote-unquote, and she's super stupid because how is she driving around looking for somebody else's child that's not hers, but doesn't even want to take care of her own grandson, and then she wants to try to drag me in so she can take advantage of me and use me as her quote-unquote daughter or granddaughter, whatever in the world. But when her actual granddaughter comes over, she's ready to send her home. She's 5 though, or something like that. But Jay said that she's ready to send her home because she doesn't want to watch her. She just makes her take naps and then sends her back to her dad as quick as possible. And yeah, that's the stuff I talk about. Kind of like that let me help you lunatic type lady that I met back in GA, who lost custody of her own kids and would treat them like crap when they would come to the restaurant to do their few hour visits with her. And she treated them like crap, but then she wanted to buy me a toothbrush and stuff, even though I said I already had all that stuff. And I didn't even have any space or anywhere to put any more stuff. I didn't have anywhere to put the stuff I already had. But that's how they are though. And so, anywho, S was going to the risky shelter place that's already like known for human trafficking, and already has a lot of other trafficking and scammy type people that come out there to try to lure people into stuff and kidnap them and all that. And that's where S has been going to ask people if they've seen me. And Jay told me that like the people don't even know who she's talking about, which is really funny. And to be truthfully honest, that would be very risky because it's like, shoot, what if she like made some agreement with somebody for them to like hold me captive somewhere, and then they do whatever in the world to me till she comes around to get me. And it's just like so much weird annoying stuff with that. But anywho, so Jay ended up calling Miss S the B word because she said that she was mad and fed up. She was fed up with her money being used and all that. And so the grandson got scared and called the granddad, which apparently is S's husband or ex-husband. Now, honestly, I had no idea she had a husband or ex-husband. And eventually, a couple of days later, Jay had told me that, like, S had only recently filed the divorce papers, even though they've been separated 9 years, because he cheated on her and committed adultery. And then the lady that he committed adultery with sent S the videos, which actually led to another argument. No, actually, that's what led up to this one. S is projecting her trauma of being cheated on onto Jay. And Jay was like, she told me that I was sleeping with a married man because Jay had told her about how she was being sexually assaulted. It really full-blown R-worded at the elderly room share thing that she was last living at in another state before she got stuck here behind some mix-ups with the Greyhound. And pretty much the landlord, he was old himself, to be honest, but he was rich, and he was stealing their food stamps for those who had food stamps and their Social Security money, because they were elderly people and they were all getting, well, not all of them, but like most of them were getting like Social Security and food stamps, and the landlord was stealing that, and he was sexually assaulting the dudes and and Jay. And he was sleeping with all of them. And she got into this through some program. That's how she got into this abusive rental situation. Which even before, like, I ever really got involved in, like, the homeless programs, like, when I first was out here, before I really went to any of them, I always warn people that those aren't safe either. People think that just because, like, it's a program and it's, like, an organization, that means it's safe, but that's not true. But anywho, to get back to the point though, the landlord was also married, and he would even like come over to sexually assault them elderly people with one of his co-workers at his other job, which is really interesting. But I guess he was cheating on his wife with that lady too, that lady being the co-worker that would come over while he would like do the stuff he was doing to people. But anywho, just like I was telling Jay, you really don't want to tell people your life story. For one, people don't care. Two, it makes people feel like you're trying to like make them feel bad for you so they'll help you. And then three, people are going to use it against you, which is what happened in this situation that led to the really bad argument of Jay being accused of just sleeping with a married man when telling S about her sexual assault. And so the husband, apparently, that S has, or had, I guess, came over. And he was like, my grandson texted me saying that he was scared, which is so stupid to me that he's scared over an argument. And it's like, you already know that even the people that cut S's grass and were supposed to help her change her doorknob because she lost the key to her house and had to break into her house through the window. The grandson already knows that none of those people want to be involved with S or even want to come around anymore because of how S is. So how are you going to act like anybody but S is the perpetrator in this situation? But either way, the granddad was like, my grandson said he's scared, and I keep telling you to stop bringing these strange homeless people off the streets into your house and to leave them outside. And what else did he say? He was like, oh yeah, you can take your beating, but if anything happens to my grandson, that's on you, and I'm coming over here. And he was talking about he didn't want Miss J there, and I keep screwing the names up, but anywho, Jay was like, well, I'm just gonna leave on the 31st because I want to get out of here anyways. Well, she didn't say it like that, she said it in a nicer way than that, but she was like, I'm leaving on the 31st and I'm gonna go stay somewhere else or go back to my land that was passed down from the foster mom. It was something like that she said. But then S was like, I'm doing the Lord's work and Jay's elderly and handicapped and she shouldn't be out there sleeping on the concrete. And I'm not even gonna lie, it really is unfortunate that manipulative people like S are the only people that really kind of have like some type of emotions towards people, because really, realistically, Jay shouldn't be out here sleeping on the concrete or out here at all, elderly and handicapped as S says, because she has metabolic issues as well, as I mentioned in the part 1. So really, she shouldn't be out here. But it's unfortunate the only people that are willing to quote-unquote help somebody are people who aren't safe and aren't in the predicament to be helping somebody. And so S went on that rant to her husband or ex-husband or whatever about how she didn't want to just kick her out because she's doing the Lord's work. But I think it was before the husband had pulled up, Jay was already saying that she wanted to leave. In fact, Jay had been saying that she wanted to leave, but every time she says she wants to leave, S tells her no, because the land really isn't hers anymore, because nobody's been paying property taxes, and she sold her plot, and just because it was passed down from her foster mom doesn't mean anything. And then S starts telling her about how it's about to get cold, and hold up. She starts telling her about how it's about to get cold and the police don't play that stuff, and she's gonna end up in jail anyways if she's out here. And overall, S was like, she was starting to call the police on Jay for wanting to leave, and that's something that she does to me too. And if I haven't noticed anything else around here, of course everybody should already know police are predators themselves in more forms than one. But the police around here love to side with the predatory people. If, like, the Choma R-worders are mad at you because you won't move into their house and let them R-word you, they'll go tell the police, and the police will confront you about not wanting to be R-worded. And that's a big reason. Well, no, that's one of the reasons why I already know that if if S does call the police on me or Jay, the police definitely will side with her. And they'll definitely side with her because I'm younger. So if she calls the police on me, like she often threatens to do whenever she sees me, because quote-unquote, they're going to tell me I'm right anyways, and you already know that, because you know that you should be living with somebody, you need a mother figure in your life, and that the streets aren't a place for children, and all that bullcrap she says. And I just know that, like, the police would most likely definitely side with her and manipulating me or Jay into living with her, staying with her. And she wanted to call the police on Jay because she wanted Jay's money, because one, Jay just started getting food stamps, which they're not giving them out anymore anyways, but she had just started getting food stamps like a few weeks ago, and it was like a week before this whole situation went down. She already had been getting Social Security money, and S had been like, you need to pay me $500 a month plus and stuff like that. So S had been doing the same stuff that the abusive landlord people had been doing to Jay. The same situation all over again, but without the essay, or I guess maybe with covert essay, because Jay mentioned that she was mad about S trying to like force me to show her my stomach because quote unquote I had a pregnant stomach, because I was rubbing my stomach was just hurting because of metabolic issues. But anyways, so pretty much S wanted to call the police on Jay because she wanted Jay to keep paying her money, but realistically Jay had already paid her for this month or that month, so really she can't call the police and say she's trying to move out without paying me, which I don't even know if you really can call the police on somebody for that anyways, but that was it. And so Jay was like, when we seen each other at one of the resource centers that gives out food, Jay was telling me about how she didn't even know that she had a husband, but like since she has a husband or ex-husband, and she also has these like religious mindsets, she even says like a lot about like how she can't remarry because her husband died, which honestly that's not how that works. It's actually the opposite of like what the Bible says, that like you can remarry after the person dies, but that wasn't even really a husband, that was like a perpetrator. Because I mentioned, I think in the part 1, that due to stuff with the Cash for Kids system, Jay was locked up from 13 all the way to 21. And when she got released at 21, she somehow ended up marrying some 45-plus-year-old man who was an abusive alcoholic. And it's like, that was a hostage abuse situation that she shouldn't have ever been in. Not that I'm trying to victim blame her, but like it just wasn't something that should have happened. And yeah, but the dude eventually passed, and so she always talks about how, like, she views husbands and how, like, S's husband is over her, and if the husband doesn't want her there, then she shouldn't be there, even if she does claim she's doing the Lord's work, which she's definitely not doing the Lord's work. But realistically, if she was actually really doing the Lord's work, even if the ex-husband that really shouldn't be over there, that she doesn't want coming to her house, does say no, and even if the grandson doesn't want her helping people, it's really not their say-so if she was actually doing the Lord's work. Like, if she wants to give out food and help people, that would be on her, and nobody else should have a say-so. But in Jay's mind, well, that's her ex-husband, and he's still over her, which that's really not how that works, but he's still over her, quote-unquote, and if he doesn't want me there, then I don't need to be there because blood is thicker than water, quote-unquote, and if they don't want me around, I don't want to intervene in her family and stuff like that. Which is why the first time I tried to make this video, I mentioned the whole thing where, like, even in, like, adoptive situations, like, if other people don't want you around, even if the person who runs the house wants you around, supposedly, if the other people around don't want you there, it's always going to be issues, and they'll even make up reasons to get you kicked out. But yeah, so Jay was just like, I'm going to leave on the 31st, and she was trying to, like, make a plan to sneak out the house and all that. But I've been having run-ins with S. I've had a couple over the past week or two. And the other day, on, I think that was Friday or maybe Thursday. No, it was Friday. I saw S. And I was talking to somebody who was, like, trying to, like, help me with, like, possibly getting, like, some youth job thing. And when S saw me when I was talking to that lady, I noticed she didn't approach me. And that's something that I've noticed with just being out here in general. People will claim that the reason that they're treating you funny and doing this, and that to you is because, quote-unquote, you're a bum and different excuses like that. But if I haven't learned anything else since being out here, people are doing things that because they see you as an easy target. I notice that whenever somebody who's older is with me, especially if there's somebody that may be seen as, like, possibly like a parent, people don't approach me on weird stuff, not the whole you're a bum stuff and not the sexual predator stuff either, because of course they feel like, well, this person who they're with or who I'm with may say something to them. But once that lady had left, that's when S had approached me on some bullcrap manipulative stuff, talking about it's about to be cold and it's about to be freezing, it's going to be 30 degrees, or maybe she said 40 or something like that. I think she said 30, which I've been in way colder than 30 degrees, but she was like, it's going to be freezing and it's going to be raining, and whenever you're ready to stop sleeping on the sidewalk, come live in my house, and you have Jay's number and you can call and all that stuff. And that was really a red flag, because Jay told me and other people at the resource center, including the staff, wait a minute, hold up, including the staff and the D lady that I mentioned before in the part 1, she told us that she was leaving on the 31st and she was just gonna, like, go back to Blue Star Inn or whatever it's called, which actually I didn't mean to say all that, but I mean, realistically, she doesn't have enough money for any of that, not long term. And I do kind of wish that she would have, like, tried to, like, see if she could get into the apartment that D had told her about, like, back when D told her about it, because, like, as of now, when they tried to find info, when they called the place, they said that they didn't have any vacancies anymore. And I mean, shoot, who knows if they even had vacancies then when D told her about it, but I just wish she would have tried, like, way back then, those months ago, because they may have possibly had a vacancy then, and they did have the sign up saying they had vacancies. I don't know if it was old or not, but now it's too late for that, and she doesn't have anywhere else to go. And supposedly, from what S says, which she could be lying, because people like that lie so much, but from what S said, Jay is supposedly still there, but I don't know how true that is. But I remember D was telling me that Jay had told her a few days ago that she moved in with somebody else, which honestly sounds horrifying. But D was like, she thinks she knows who, but she also thinks that maybe J is just lying and she just still lives with S. And supposedly she does. And it's like, I understand why though, because you don't have to worry about the police harassing you and coming after you, talking about throwing you in jail for being homeless, and you don't have to worry about people treating you like crap and calling you a bum and stuff. But it's like, people like me aren't willing to go through hell and high fire. People say hell and high water, but hell and high fire just to not be treated like crap, because it's like, you're still getting abused by the person you're staying with, but you're not being abused by the outside world, because as far as people care, okay, now you're staying with somebody who's like your family, your guardian, or whatever in the world. And I definitely have noticed, as I already mentioned, that I am treated better when I have someone with me, especially somebody who's older. Kind of like I mentioned in one of those videos titled Psalms something, I don't remember, but in one of those, can't remember if it was the part 1 or the part 2, I mentioned how, like, I noticed I was treated the best when I was with this older white guy who he had invited me to his birthday dinner at this restaurant with him and his wife, which was really nice of him. And I was treated better then, because like, if I would have walked into one of those places like by myself, even if I like was going to like get something to eat, I probably would have ran into a whole bunch of bullcrap and somebody telling me like to leave, because like, it's a lot of racial stuff as well with that. But like, I was just treated better then. And it is really unfortunate. Like, something else I noticed too that I could throw in, whenever you're seen as like the homeless person, the person that's in like a bad situation, and somebody offers to get you something, then you're being bad and you're like being a criminal, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. But like, when I'm with somebody else, and like for example, this one situation where my dad had this one of his multiple girlfriends, and she had took us to a restaurant. Somebody ended up paying for our food because I guess they were like, they looked like a nice family, and like a black dude who's with his kids. And I'm not saying to like put the person who paid down, I'm just saying that, like, you know, sometimes when people see that, they're like, oh, that's a good thing, and then they want to pay for the food. So like, it was nice of them. But when stuff like that happens, then it's okay. But when you're like the dumped out kid who's a castaway, or just the homeless person, then if somebody offers to do anything for you, people will be mad at you. And like, especially if they know that like you're homeless or whatever, like even the staff that work at the place, if they've seen you before around and they just see you too much and they feel like you're in a situation, oh, you can't come back anymore because we feel like you're making a pity party and you're making people do stuff for you. Like, I don't even run around asking people for stuff, so it's like, it's just really annoying. Like, I've even been in situations where people who have known me that like I would like hang around and stuff have offered to like get me stuff at certain places. But if it's a place that sees me a lot and knows that like I'm homeless, like especially when I was in places that were used to like homeless youth and are used to like dumped out foster kids and stuff like that, if they would see me a lot and they would know that like I'm homeless or I'm kicked out or whatever, they would feel some type of way about people who actually know me, not just like some person that just came up and offered to get something for me. People who actually know me, that I talk to on a daily basis, they would feel some type of way about people like that getting me something to eat, because they feel like I'm just like a dumped out castaway homeless person, and like I'm just like, I don't know, making people do stuff, or like I don't deserve it or something. Yeah, it's definitely that. They feel like I don't deserve it. And it's really interesting because it's like, I mean, shoot, somebody who's like a friend of mine can't give me something to eat either, and that's the problem to you as well. It's like, what in the world? But I'm trying to remember why I brought that up. I think it was to go into like the whole thing where like you're just treated better when you're not seen as like the castaway, dumped out person with no family, pretty much. Like, if I haven't learned anything else, when you're seen as like the homeless, dumped out person, if people do offer you food, try to not accept it if you really don't have to, or accept it in like a place where people can't see you, especially if it's like near the place where they got the food from or inside the place. And it's really interesting because, like, even when I was still living with relatives, due to, like, the starvation abuse and me not knowing that I actually had severe metabolic issues or severe iatrogenic metabolic issues and mitochondrial dysfunction, which causes me to have, like, severe hypoglycemia, which is a miracle that I don't pass out from. And that would cause me to be really hungry, even aside from the starvation abuse. So, like, even when I was still staying with relatives, I would sometimes be really hungry, like, really, really hungry. And I would, like, ask people if they, like, had an apple or something. Even in the little bit of school I did get to go to for, like, 3 months. And, like, I would even, like, because, like, in this place, it wasn't like you can, if you're still hungry, you can go back and get more food. But I would just, like, sneak and do it anyways because I would be really hungry. But also I didn't know that I had the, like, iatrogenic metabolic issues. So the types of food that the school would give out would, it would make my blood sugar actually go lower after a while, and then I'd be hungry again, and it would just cause a lot of issues. But I would be seen then as, like, the person who was always hungry, but I wasn't treated as bad for it as I am now that I'm the person who's, like, a homeless bum that doesn't deserve whatever food in people's eyes. And like I said in the Psalms, whatever the rest of the title is videos, even before I had escaped my abuse situation, to get away from my abuse, I would do things that I now know are stereotypically homeless. Well, I knew that then, but I know more now. So, like, I would sit outside of gas stations, or I would sit in shopping centers, or behind shopping centers, and I would, like, sit in parking lots, or, like, in the woods somewhere, just to try to, like, get a breath of fresh air whenever I had the chance to get away from my abuse situation, the constant chaos. But, like, once people see you doing that too much, in their eyes, you're just like a dumped out bum. And so people have a problem with that too, and they'll call the police on you for that as well, in some areas more than others. And it's really interesting. But that's why I say people can detect homeless energy. So when you're full-blown homeless, people have more of a problem when you're doing stuff like that, because they can sense that you're homeless, and so now in their eyes you're a criminal. And now it's more of an issue, and it's more of an issue for me to do things that honestly I've really always done. That's like an escape. But that's why the biggest thing is blending in and trying your best to not be noticed. But sure, in areas like this where people aren't used to, like, homeless youth, people automatically assume that I'm 30. And also, since I've been here, I've actually had to cut all my hair off because, like, I wasn't really able to, like, wash it like that, and, like, due to stuff with, like, the metabolic issues, I have a lot of dry skin, and, like, I had too much dandruff, and it was really itchy. So due to that, and not being able to really do my hair that much, I just cut it off. And I know that probably makes me look a little older, but it's kind of funny though, because in some places I was told that, like, when my hair isn't showing, I look younger, but I don't know. And people automatically assume I'm 30. But for the people that don't assume that, it's kind of harder to blend in, because, like, especially in areas where people aren't used to seeing homeless youth, or even in areas where people are used to seeing homeless youth, they know what to look for. So it's kind of like, well, you look too young to, like, really always be seen out everywhere, every single day, all day, by yourself, and, like, I've never seen you with your family, and, like, you're hiding from somebody, and stuff like that people say. And it just makes it kind of hard to really blend in. Because a lot of people talk about, like, how the best thing to do is have people not know your situation, which is 100% true, but that can sometimes be hard to really pull off. Anywho, to get back to the story though, back to Miss J, because I went on a rant. So she had told me that S had completely full-blown cursed her out and was like, you don't make enough money for me anyways, and I'm about to let this other dude come into my house who's a homeless veteran with no legs, and I'm gonna let him move in, and because he makes more money than you do, and he gets more money from the government. And Jay had also told me that S had been asking her for her social security number, and had been telling her to hurry up and try to get her social security card and birth certificate because she needed it. And I was like, since I've been studying how taxes works, she's definitely trying to claim you as a dependent and do whatever else she can with your SSN. Definitely some fraudulent stuff. Which Jay had told me that S had been telling her that she makes too much money to go into retirement, but she'd been going to places to get help paying her bills. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, she's either doing something fraudulent, or she really doesn't make that much money, because the place that you have to go to get help paying your bills, you have to show pay stubs and stuff. So it's like, how is she gonna, like, get help paying her bills if she supposedly makes too much money. But I also know that way how the government is, they want you to own nothing and be happy. So like, I mean, in their eyes, making too much money could be definitely nowhere near a lot of money. So I could also see that as well. But either way, the whole asking for her SSN and asking Jay other information to try to throw back up in her face later, the usual manipulative stuff. But what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then like her bringing the dude into her house, like, I don't know, like the dudes, so many of them, homeless or not, they're all like so weird and risky. I would worry about her safety, Jay's, if Jay's even really still there, and her grandsons. And oh yeah, Jay was talking about some that the S is sick and she hopes that she gets our word and unalived, and it's like, wait a minute, that's way too much to be saying. Like, S is definitely annoying and very manipulative and abusive, but she definitely doesn't deserve to be R-word and unalived. And it's like, shoot. And that's the thing, though. When people do reactive abuse, then they're pushing people to their limits, they know that, like, I feel like people who do reactive abuse have to want to unalive themselves. They must not want to be alive, because it's like you bring people around, or you, like, trap people around you and you torture them until they want bad things to happen to you. And I wouldn't say that she deserves the whole being R-word and stuff, but she does deserve to get punched in the face and whatever else. I'm not going to do that because I don't have time for it. She already wants to call the police on me all the time. Like, I was trying to go to that class that D had told me about one morning, and then S had just so happened to see me, and she was like, look at you sitting on the concrete, and I'm a real woman of God, and you know that the Lord wants better for you than to be sitting on the concrete, because I was waiting for the doors to open for the class. And she was talking about all I can do is pray for you, and I'm going to call the police on you because they're going to tell you I'm right and all that bullcrap, she says. And it's like, she is definitely annoying. It did make me want to pepper spray her, but the whole R-worded thing that's like a lie. But shoot, anywho. And then Jay was saying, if you bring a man into your house, he's going to want more, and for you to get all his money out of him like you want, you're going to have to give him something in return. You're going to have to sleep with him if you expect him to give you all his money. And honestly, she's not wrong. I kind of doubt that he's expecting to go in her house and then be robbed and tortured by her and then not get to sleep with her as well. But also, I kind of feel like a man isn't about to go for all the games that she plays. But one of the scariest things about people like this, though, at least, especially when I think about Miss S, like, she's just so manipulative and abusive, and she's always dragging people into her house to use them. And it's like, people like this really put themselves at risk of something happening to them. But it's also really annoying that, like, for example, with the ex-husband, he's talking about I worry about my grandson, and I keep telling you to start bringing these homeless people into your house. But it's like, the homeless people are painted as the bad, risky, dangerous people, but S is the bad, risky, dangerous person. And it's like, that's exactly why, well, that's not exactly why, that's one of the billions of reasons why I would never put myself in these types of situations. I don't want to be the person sitting up in somebody's house being abused, but because I'm the dumped out castaway person, I'm the bad guy because I'm dangerous, because I'm a strange person off the streets. So if anything happens, whether I defend myself or not, S can just make me the bad guy. And it's like, when Jay talks about the situation, people are already, of course, always telling her that S is very dangerous and she needs to get away from her. But Jay doesn't have anywhere else to go. But also, Jay is also older, so I feel like that's also another reason why, like, people are more likely to believe Jay when she talks about the things that S does. Because, like, I've been in so many situations like that, and I feel like due to a lot of different things about, like, discriminatory stuff, with how some people see me, some people will feel like maybe I'm over-exaggerating the situation. But that's one of the millions of reasons why I wouldn't advise really telling people about your life and things that are happening to you, at least not in person. Like, even in my abuse situation, I didn't mind making the abuse evidence channels, but, like, that was for evidence, also not really for people to, like, watch them. But it's like, that was so easier to do than, like, actually, like, having people, which everybody already knew, but having people, like, know the full details of my abuse situation, because really it's kind of embarrassing as well, a lot of the situations. But this is the part 2. I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch of stuff, and if I remember anything I forgot, then I'll make a part 3. Okay, actually, no, I know what I forgot. I forgot the whole thing where Jay had told me that S had came and told her some bullcrap crazy lies and claimed that she had a conversation with me that never happened, which what I like to call schizo-narcs. They always do stuff like that. Like, my mom was the type of Jezebelic person that would also like get on the phone, and I would hear her telling people that she had conversations with me that never happened. But anywho, Jay was like, S told me that she was talking to you at the library that I've been trying to avoid since the whole Shane/Elvis thing. But she was like, I was talking, she said she was talking to me at the library, and I was talking to her and the library staff, and that I told them that due to my pride, I didn't want to live off anybody for free, and I didn't want to go in her house and live with her if I didn't have money to pay her. And Jay said the S was like, at least, what will I call myself? At least Antistra had said that she's not willing to live off anybody for free because you're living up in my house and you don't even get enough money from the government, and your SSI isn't enough for me. And that's why I'm about to go get that homeless dude. He lives at a hotel or a motel. But she was like, that's why I'm about to go get that homeless veteran dude with no legs, and I'm going to let him live with me because he makes more money than you do, and you don't have enough money for me. And that was like really insane. That's the real woman of God. And it's like, shoot, but I'm not going to lie though, I really do worry for her. It's like people don't even fear God at all, to where they'll just run around saying, a real woman of God, a real man of God, the Lord told me, and everything that they're saying is complete bullcrap. And it's like, you're not scared to run around doing the stuff that you're doing and then run around claiming the Lord told you this and the Lord told you that. And another thing about it, it makes you think about how people have recently been talking about, especially in the True Yashrael community, how the word Lord in some language translates to Bill. So maybe that's what she's talking about. Okay, no, I forgot the part about how Jay told me that S was making her watch TV with her and sit with her during her prayers, and sit with her while she's just doing different stuff. And some dude at the resource center, who Jay was also talking to, had asked if S was like a lesbian or something, and if she wanted to get with us. And like, I don't know if that's the case or not, but the thing is, like, people who've like been through stuff and are what I like to call schizo-narc abusers, they like to do a lot of enmeshment type stuff that can come off as very like sexual, and even often is covert essay, like with parentification, enmeshment. I think I already said that, surrogate spousing, although that's not really the situation here with Jay, obviously, but like, they do different things like that to their victims, I guess I could say. And it can be like actual like essay or covert essay, but sometimes it just like is really boundary overstepping to where it could seem like it's sexual, or like they want to get with the person that they're doing the stuff to. Even infantilization, because like infantilization could be like can be covert essay, and it could like lead to like your abusive parent forcing you to let them shower you when you're 9, 10, 25, 30. And then lastly, I think I mentioned in the part 1 the whole situation where S had told me about how some teenage boys had stole her car, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of worried, because even before like I started seeing S again, since the whole thing with her taking in Jay, because I had met S months before Jay had ever even got stuck in this town or state. But like, there were some boys that I used to see and would talk to, and like, they did definitely disappear. I thought that like maybe since summertime was over, they just had went back to school, but like, I would still see one of them riding his bike sometimes, but like, I hadn't seen them in a while, so I'm hoping that they're not the same people, and that they'd end up make that bad decision trying to fall into the whole effeminate thug persona to prove a point to somebody, because it doesn't lead anywhere good, and you don't prove the point. Your life just gets worse than it already is, and you get more traumatized and confused and brainwashed. I'm really hoping it's not them, but anywho, Jay told me that when S's car got stolen by those three boys, the 14-year-old, 17-year-old, and I think 19-year-old, that it was her ex-husband that actually helped her get her car back by reporting to the police. And S didn't want them to go to jail, and she wanted to quote-unquote minister to them because their moms were clubbers and were never around and were alcoholics, and they didn't spend time with them, and they didn't have a dad. And the younger boy wasn't even bad. He was just trying to like have a father figure, older brother type thing, and the older boys and prove himself to them. And that's how those situations go. And I really feel bad about the situation in general, but I'm really not hoping it's the boys that I think it was. Like, I know that, like, in their mind, or at least in one of their minds, like, since they didn't run away from home and they're still living with their parents and putting up with their mom's insanity and toxicness and Jezebelicness that's leading them in the bad behavior and criminal behavior, they feel like they're doing the quote-unquote right thing, which is a really big thing in the black community. That's why I don't believe in the parent worship bullcrap, because honestly, I would be in the even worse predicament if I was trying to put up with my relatives' toxicness and chaos and abuse as well. But they felt like they were doing the right thing, or at least this one boy specifically. I think he's like 17 now, or at least he was 16 or something when I met him, but he was trying to tell me pretty often about how I needed to find my mom and go home. I mentioned him before, how he told me about how, like, he always makes things up with his mom, and I need to do that too, because that's the condition people are under, especially in areas like this and in quote-unquote cultures like this, which is why he was in the predicament that he was in, because he already had just got off the ankle monitor. But it's like, people feel like because I'm in the situations I'm in, that like I'm the bad, grown, defiant one. But I really feel like the people who are doing the quote-unquote right thing by staying with parents and all that, they always have like a lot of real, actual criminal stuff going on. Obviously not all of them, but like the ones that I'm talking about in these types of situations, they're just like actually doing bad stuff, I would say. But just due to the situation I'm in, I'm quote unquote bad, but they're like actually out doing stuff and like committing crimes, but I'm just bad for existing in my situation, which is interesting. But anywho, I tried to warn him about falling into the whole effeminate thug persona stuff, and I really hope it wasn't them. But the point I'm getting at, though, is that you really can tell that, like, even with all the issues and all the manipulative and, like, the catch-22s of why she does the stuff that she does, she really does think about people's issues and why they're in the predicaments that they're in. And that's why I say, quote-unquote, healthy people do not have emotions. They don't have empathy. They don't have sympathy. And the people like us who actually really care about other people are the ones who are going to get labeled off as the sociopath or the bad person, or who are actually going to have like a really abusive, manipulative side. Even the thing S had said about how the church wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, and how she knows that the church knew that, she already knew that they knew about me, because that's where she first saw me, when I would go there, and I would use the bathroom, or I would like get on the muffins sometimes, before things got really bad with like the harassment with certain people and just a lot of stuff that happened. And I don't go around there. I try to avoid that side of town anyways, but anyway, she already knew that they knew about me, and she was like, she feels that they could have at least let me clean up for a couple of dollars or something. But she was also saying that she knows that they know that Jay is there, because Jay is elderly and handicapped, and she was sleeping behind the church, and she felt like the church wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. To be honest, I don't really want anything from anybody but for people to like not treat me like crap, but that's not going to happen. But I do get what she means when she says that like people are supposed to do things that they really don't do for others. And she notices that and she feels some type of way about it. Like, even with her wanting to quote-unquote minister to the boys because she felt bad for them in their situations, but her husband or ex-husband, whatever in the world, doesn't care, and he wanted them in jail. And it really is unfortunate, but these are the types of people that care enough. Even the sexual predators care enough. Even the pimps, which are sexual predators, care enough to listen to somebody in their situation about how they were getting essayed at home and how they got kicked out or had to run away, or how they're typically in foster care and they're homeless anyways and don't have anywhere to go and nowhere safe to be in, and they need help making money. Only those people listen. Okay, nope, I forgot something else. Just remember this. Jay had told me that S and her grandson had gotten into a fight too. And that S claimed she's never hit him before, but she was ready to hit him because she started doing her usual manipulative crazy talk and getting in his face and stuff. And he ended up pushing her. And that Jay told her not to hit him, especially if she's never hit him before. And plus, he works out and stuff, and Jay already knows that he's likely to end up beating her up. So Jay told S that if she wants to send him to his mom's house, she might as well do that instead of trying to fight him. And I can only imagine what all led up to him having to push her, but that happened. And that's exactly why I say being in situations like he's in is very risky. Reactive abuse and abuse in general doesn't lead anywhere good. Like in a post I seen on Reddit, even though I'm banned, somebody was talking about how they study sociology. They were in the GATE Ramco Cash for Kids system branch, which is the other side of special ed, which is gifted. And I don't know how many people they actually realized that they went through a whole bunch of SRA, but they were talking about how they grew up in GATE. They got told the usual, you're going to make it bull crap, whatever making it really even means, and how their life outcomes ended up really badly. A lot of people were talking about that. If I remember, I'll edit the post in. It was in the CPTSD group, and they were talking about how when they study sociology, they were taught that regardless of what the zip code you grow up in decides your outcomes in life. But honestly, I would say even more than that, your family system and how bad the abuse is and what all happens and how much sabotage you go through, how many people are around you trying to drive you crazy or get you locked up for the rest of your life, that decides your outcomes more than even the zip code thing. Or if you get lucky enough to get out of that. But I mean, even the people that do the stereotypical matrix stuff and the stereotypical matrix idea of quote-unquote making it, they end up really abusive and cognitive dissonancy and toxic and invalidating themselves. They're the type of people that run around saying that everybody else is lying about their life because they have a house and a car. Or they're the types that'll be like, well, I was beat on and stabbed and I never ended up in jail and I never committed a crime. And the other people just want excuses. But I mean, just because you managed to not do those things doesn't mean jack diddly. And evidently having a house and a car doesn't mean anything, because the people that run around bragging about having a house and a car to invalidate everybody else who is unalived or lost their mind from trafficking and whatever else situations. They're not nice people themselves, so it's kind of whatever anyways. Seems like having a house and a car leads to you getting worse, if anything.